Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. We are here live at Headset. I'm here with Liz, and we're going to go over 420 data as we approach 420, the biggest cannabis holiday out there. We're going to dive into these reports and see what kind of fun stuff we come up with. So what's the most popular age for 420 shopping? Consumers aged 30 to 34 seem to be the most adventurous group on 420, increasing their shopping most in the edibles category, purchasing 6.5 times as many edibles on 420 as they did the preceding Wednesday. This closely followed by pre-rolls with a 5.8x increase in units purchased. So they're purchasing 6 times more than normal pre-rolls. It's got to be based on being $1 a piece.
I think so, and I think when we say 6 times more, it's not that the average person is buying 6. It's really driven by those extra baskets, so a lot more people are coming in, especially in that Gen Xer and Baby Boomer age group. We see them buy higher priced items, so I think the report from this year, we got to look at Gen Z, the like 21, 22-year-olds. So what we see with them is maybe they're influenced a lot by discount pricing and they're buying a lot, maybe they're having a big party. There was this cute kind of nuance in the data where we could see some of the Gen Xers where, you know, they don't shop very often, but they came in, they're like, I'm going to celebrate this time. You know, we got a babysitter. Like, you could just, you could feel it in the data where they're like, I'm going to get something nice because I haven't had any in a while. And it was a really cool trend to play out underneath the data.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the conclusion with 2017's report is that 420 sales boost isn't going away anytime soon. So the market is seeing more new cannabis consumers who are probably less familiar with the day's connotations. It's already become well established with the cannabis industry Black Friday. It's interesting to note that there hasn't been a single 420 on a weekend yet. So savvy retailers can use 420 to capitalize on adventurous and occasionally lavish spirit, tailoring their promotions to promote new products and splurging a little. Either way, the sales boost from 420 is significant across the board, giving everyone involved plenty to celebrate. And so what will people buy on 420? There's predictions based on data from 3 years of the big day. We'll get into that right now.
No waiting. Right now. I'm diving right in. I'm ready for it, man.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this.
So you had mentioned Gen Z, but we're going to talk about millennials because Gen Z was the first time last year that you were able to get some data, but we've had a couple years with millennials.
Totally, yeah.
Who are typically frequent purchasers but not big spenders. They open their pocketbook a little bit wider on 420. Headsets looked at specific products which do well on 420, and it's heavily weighed towards single-serving items, as you might expect, although not always the size you'd think. So Headsets learned that the loyalty programs play a role in 420 sales, which should be useful information for anyone who works in retail. And most interestingly, Headsets looked at pricing and discounts for 420 and noticed that people still buy a lot of cannabis even if it's not deeply discounted. The data shows that consumers' participation in the holidays seems to be driven more by enthusiasm for cannabis and the legalization movement than bargain hunting, which speaks to the unique nature of cannabis consumer base.
Yeah.
So you were kind of mentioning you were really excited just to get out there and try it. Are you more influenced by that ability to just kind of try new things, or are you going to be driven more by discounts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be driven more by. To me, it seems like a holiday, and my personal preference would be, I can buy cheap stuff any day of the year. I wouldn't want to forfeit, the ability to get like something cool and interesting that day to save a few dollars. But there's definitely people that see those, really cheaply priced ounces and just, take as much as the law allows.
This guy right here. Be buying that $30 ounce tomorrow on Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of people that treat it that way and think, hell yeah, I'm going to fill up the pantry.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that too because I guess there's a post 420 report that we're going to get to in just a couple minutes, and it kind of dives into that hangover effect, which is legit.
Yeah, sales hangover, right?
And so we kind of mentioned Generation X and millennials. And so diving into which generation is most excited by 420, millennials are most avid participants in the cannabis market overall, though they don't spend a lot. Their average transaction size jumped 27%, indicating that they're most moved by the holiday. And so when you jump into the average item price for the days exactly 1 week before and after 420, whether it's 2015, 2016, or 2017, they all saw an interesting trend emerge. In 2015, the average item price on 420 was much lower than before or after, meaning that retailers were offering significant discounts, especially for the holiday. So the price gap between the days in question shrunk quite a bit in 2016 and shrunk even further in 2017, which could mean that fewer items were discounted. However, the overall sales still continued to rise on 420, both in 2016 and 2017, still seeing an over 100% increase in sales, which would indicate that bargain hunting isn't what brings consumers in for 420. So if it's not discounts, it's just a holiday where people are coming in and buying stuff. So I think there's an analogy in this report or another one on the 4th of July, which I found really interesting, that right now the 4th of July is probably a bigger sales day than 7/10.
Definitely that's in there. Absolutely. The 4th of July stuff that we looked at was for beer, so we were trying to draw a similar look at similar types of consumer behavior with celebratory days. You know, there's not like a beer holiday. There's maybe like Oktoberfest, but not really in the States. And so what we're trying to do is pick a traditionally very beer-heavy holiday and see, well, when a holiday is specifically about a format, specifically about cannabis, how is that different than we just know that people buy a lot more beer on July 4th because it's just a general holiday.
And you're able to make that comparison because you've recently partnered up with Nielsen, like the TV company Nielsen.
AC Nielsen.
So Headset is a cannabis-centric data aggregator, for lack of a word. And so you're partnered with Nielsen, and you're bringing more mainstream stuff like alcohol, and kind of comparing a more normalized an event like drinking with a nuanced industry like cannabis, and comparing those.
One of the great things about having a strategic alliance with Nielsen is that we can use some of their data to see how cannabis is the same and different from other things. I think none of us think that cannabis is going to act exactly the same as anything else that's out there, but it's interesting to see, you know, what sorts of things people think about when they think about, you know, traditional CPG, and how cannabis is the same in some ways and different. And, you know, that strategic alliance with Nielsen really lets us use some of that data to draw those correlations. It's been really interesting for me as the data person, for sure. We don't really usually think of a hangover with weed, but the retail stores definitely
people
feel
are just
it.
buying so much, so we're going to get into in a second. But good things come in all packages. So small packages make up the bulk of sales on most days, and that remains true on 420. On a typical day, packaging smaller than an eighth makes up to 77% of total flower sales. 2-gram packages and eighths see over 100% and over 50% sales respectively, but larger packages actually gain more. So ounce packages saw an increase of over 300%, while half-ounce packages were over 200%. So the single-serving edible categories also shows notable growth with 350% increase over normal days. So what, they're either looking for 2 grams or 14?
Yeah, I think that might be a way to, you know, anytime that you bifurcate a market into just black and white, there's all the gray in the middle you miss. But I think there's probably a substantial bit on each end. The people that are purchasing, you know, just something to use today, and the people that see these cheap prices and are like you. They're like, you know what, as much as I can carry. And so I do think there's definitely 2 types of people, you know, and with obviously with people in between. But I think that that's a good way to think about it if you're trying to come up with your retail strategy, is to be able to serve the people that are there just to have something like small and special for today, and then the people that either are throwing like a wicked party, or, you know, they don't want to have to go back to the store until May, given the amount of stuff they've purchased.
I think you're only allowed to buy an ounce per day.
I think so, yeah, I think that's the limit.
But I don't know, I mean, we'll find out, because I'm definitely going to test that. Because if I buy 1 ounce per store, technically if I go to another store, they're not supposed to sell it to me. But there's no connection, though. They're not going to be able to figure that out. That's beyond the report.
Let me know how
I'll
it works
let you know.
out for you.
I want to thank my guest, Liz Connor, Director of Analytics at Headset. Liz, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.
Bye.